To Your Eternity is an anime about an immortal being named Fushi, who throughout many years and centuries takes on many forms and uses her abilities at will in order to evolve and learn what it means to be human. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. If you guys want to watch the show, I highly recommend it. It is an emotional, intense, and I truly believe it is worth the watch. Because further ahead in this video is full of spoilers, as if the title wasn't already obvious already. So without any further ado, here's the many forms of Fushi explained. We begin his journey as a white orb, but takes on the form of a rock in the middle of a cold winter storm, and arrives a white injured wolf named Joan. We don't know the cause of his injuries, but Joan is at his last steps. As Joan slowly dies, he lays on top of the rock, and soon he emerges and takes on the form of Joan, and he finally becomes conscious, feeling pain for the first time. The cold, everything is stimulation. Him being the immortal being regenerates that injury and travels across the snow, and that is Fushi's first form. The nameless white-haired boy is as the name says. We don't know the identity of the boy, but he is optimistic and outgoing and is pleased to see Joan arrive back home, unaware that this isn't the same Joan as before. But nonetheless, they travel together in search of the boy's family through this harsh snow. Joan learned the basic skill from the white-haired boy, eating. Even though he is immortal, his body functions like any other being, needing to eat, sleep, drink. As we near the end of the nameless boy's journey in search of his family, unfortunately, they haven't found them, and the nameless boy is suffering from an injury and becomes extremely ill. At his last breaths, he tells Joan to remember him forever. As he dies, Joan now takes on the form of the nameless boy and steps outside and continues the journey. The journey wasn't easy. Actually, in fact, he died many times, 6 times exactly, and comes back to life every time. Pain promotes growth, and no death is ever wasted. After his trial and errors, we meet a little girl named March, who is just the happiest, outgoing child you can ever meet. All she ever wanted to be was to grow up and be a mom. Our protagonist is the perfect match for her. He really doesn't know how to speak or never knew its name, so March named him Fushi. March taught him the basic manners of eating properly and managed to help him speak its first words. Thank you for the food. Or it hurts whenever he feels pain. But unfortunately, as they were escaping from Hayase and her army, she was shot by her arrow, saving Pirona's life, and now Fushi can take on the form of March for her ability to climb and reaching smaller places. But before that happened, Fushi took on the form of Oniguma, this large white bear with bloody eyes and spike all over its body from many years of being attacked. Oniguma was taken down by Fushi in an attempt to save March and Pirona while our group was captured by Hayase and her army before they escaped. March helped Oniguma by removing the spike off its back, even though it attempted to eat her. The thing about Fushi is that he can sense the pain of others, which is why he was repeating "it hurts," even though Fushi himself wasn't injured, and when March forgave Oniguma and took care of him until its last breath, that is when Fushi said "thank you." And that is not Fushi saying himself, but saying it for Oniguma, thanking March for everything she's done to help him. Upon March's death, that is when Fushi transformed into Oniguma to get rid of Hayase and her men. Gugu is one of Fushi's closest friends. Gugu is a boy that wears this mask to hide his disfigured face in an accident after saving Rin. At this point, Fushi is able to speak full sentences, asking questions, being able to speak his thoughts with the help of Pioran. After many years of living together, Gugu got stronger and Fushi refrains from transforming in order to grow up and live as a human. The Knockers, a plant-like being who threatens to steal Fushi's forms and memories, attacked at an event where Gugu unfortunately died in the process, while sacrificing himself in order to save Rin one last time. Because of Gugu's death, Fushi can now transform into Gugu, which is one of his strongest forms for his ability to breathe fire. Pirona is who we met early on in Fushi's journey in self-discovery. After March's death, Fushi left Pirona to her village and head off with Pioran, but we haven't seen her after that. Fushi arrived at a prison island with Pioran and competed at a gladiator tournament for their freedom to escape, and at the semifinals, he transformed into Pirona and had no idea why and how she died. But at the final match, Fushi met Hayase once again, now with her face scarred from Fushi's attack as Oniguma. Hayase tells Fushi that she was the one that killed Pirona and the rest of the village. We meet Tonari's friends during Fushi's time at the prison island, Mia, Yoroi, Sandal, and Upa, which all are assumed to be orphans growing up together in this harsh environment. After the Knockers invaded the island and was ultimately defeated later by the hands of Fushi and with the help of Tonari and her friends. Unfortunately, only 2 survived, and that is Tonari and Sandal. The rest of the kids were killed by the hands of the Knockers. Later on, Fushi left the island with Hayase captured and left her in the middle of the ocean for dead, or so he thought. Last but not least is Pioran. While Fushi never transformed into Pioran, I gotta have her in the list as she is the last death of the first season of To Your Eternity. Pioran died peacefully at her old age while she was suffering from dementia. She made one last request to the beholder, and that she is willing to sacrifice her entire being for Fushi to use, and instead wants to be resurrected into something that would be useful for Fushi later in his journey. And that is every form of Fushi of the first season explained in 5 minutes. Which character is your favorite? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.